Boa noite and welcome to another episode of Portuguese Online. Today I'm rocking out in the plaid. This episode we're going to learn about other verb endings. We're not going to be conjugating so much, we're just going to be talking about things that you add on to verbs to make them much more interesting. So let's begin. There's the conditional tense. The conditional tense in English is when we use the word would. Now in English this seems like it would be a verb. I would, we would, they would. But if you paid close attention, it's not conjugated. If it was conjugated, then you would say I would, you would, he would's, she would's. You don't say that, you just say he would. It's actually not conjugated, and therefore it's technically not a verb. It's just a little thing that we add to a verb. So instead of I run, it's I would run. So you just add that in there. And you kind of do the same thing in Portuguese, except instead of adding it to the beginning, you add it to the end. So if you have a verb, like for instance, to run, which I haven't taught you yet, it is correr. To say would run, you just add something to the end. And what this is ia, I-A. To change run into would run would be to change correr into correria. And that's really all you have to do. Alright, so that's one of them. The next ending that we're going to talk about is when we're talking about a verb that is happening right now, this very instant. In English, we would say, he is running, or I am running. Now, if you pay close attention to that, I am running, he is running, you can actually see that the verb to be is before the verb that is happening at this moment. So, for instance, if we have I am running, well, the main verb is to run. But you can also notice that in the beginning we have this I am here, which is the conjugated form of to be. Now in Portuguese, when you have to be in front of this action that is happening right now, you don't use ser, you use estar. So I am in the estar form is estou. And now we have this verb weird thing here. Well, let's just look at the root of it. We have to run. Let's just write that down. We have correr. Now in most verbs, when we conjugate it, we take out the ER or the IR or the AR. In this case, we do the same thing. So let's just take that out, and we're left with cor. Now here in Portuguese, when we want to say in, there's two ways of doing this. There's ando and endo. When the verb that you're adding an ing to is an AR verb, you use ando, and when the verb ends with an ER or an IR, that's when you put down endo. So you take out the ER and you add in endo, and you have estou correndo. Let's do another example. So we're going to do the same thing like we did in other videos. I'm going to have it written on the screen, you pause it, try to translate it, and then when you're done, push play and we'll go over it together. Okay, you think you have it? Let's see. So in these forms, when we have an ing at the end, we use estar, and we are is nós estamos. So now we have this speaking, and the original verb is to speak. So we just put that down, which is falar. Now you take out the AR like you would when you're conjugating, and you add either endo or ando, depending on whether it's an AR, ER, or an IR. And because falar is an AR, you put in ando. So that makes this falando, it makes the entire sentence nós estamos falando. We are speaking. Alright, let's go to another verb ending craziness. So the last video we talked a little bit more about the future tense. We conjugated the verb ir to make it work with I am going to or I will. Now that's the common way of doing it, that's the informal way of doing it, but there is another way that's a little bit more stylish, it's a lot more formal. And to do that, we're going to need to use the pronoun grid. Yay! Alright, here's the grid. So let's say that you want to use the verb to sing, which is cantar. And the sentence you want to use is the really stylish form of saying, I will sing. What's really cool about this is that you don't actually have to conjugate the verb itself, but you do need to put a specific ending depending on what you're talking about. So what are the things that you need to add in the end? Well, for the singular first, it is e. For você, ele, and ela, it is simply a. And there is an accent on that, remember that. For the first plural, it is amos. And for vocês, eles, and elas, it is el. So I'm going to have it on the screen now so that you can copy it down. The formal, stylish future tense is not used that much. It's used in scriptures and prayers and, if you want to impress someone. Also, in many books they use it. So, if you like to read, it's a good one to remember. But it is important to learn because Brazilians like to just add it in random places, and it's good to understand when they're using it. Now, there's one more verb ending that I want to talk about, and this is kind of fun. These are the commands. So if you want to tell someone help, you can just basically say, você ajuda, and you just talk to the person without saying you. You just say, ajuda. But if you want to command them that, and you want to be really forceful, like, help, dang it, then you do this form. So remember, there are the AR conjugations, and then the ER/IR conjugations. ER and IR are pretty much the same except the we form, or the nos form, which is emos or imos. So let's say you have você ajuda, or you help. And you want this in the command form. You want this to be urgent. So what you do is you change this ending from the AR to the ER. So this is in the second person singular AR. You change this into the second person singular ER. So instead of an A, it is an E. Você ajude. That is the command form. You say ajude and people will pay attention. Let's say that you have vocês ajudam. You guys help. If you say that, people will understand. But if you want to be really urgent, you want to make it a command, then you say vocês ajudem. You use the same ending except in the ER form instead of the AR form. Usually this is used with the você and the vocês. I mean, you're talking to a person, you're using second person. But occasionally it does happen in the first and the third, and it's the same exact rule when you do need to use that. It's rare, but when it does happen, you're in the know. So the vocab list that I'm going to give you for today is a list of 5 verbs. Now the thing about these 5 verbs is that they're a little bit irregular. I'm going to give you the verb in English and Portuguese, and then I'm going to tell you where they are irregular. Now these ones are irregular in only one position, like for instance the singular first person or the singular third person. The rest of them do follow the pattern. It's just that one little tiny space on that pronoun grid that is different. So here's the list for you. The first one is ouvir, which means to hear. In the singular first person, it is eu ouço. The second one is pedir, which means to ask for. In the singular first person, it is eu peço. The third one is querer, which is to want. Now in the singular second or third person, it is você, ele, or ela quer. The next one is saber, which means to know. Now we already have a verb that means to know, conhecer. Conhecer is to know somebody or to be acquainted with. Saber is to know something, like a fact. In the singular first, it is eu sei. And the last one on the list is gostar, which is to like. And this is conjugated regularly. However, every time that you use this, you have to put the word de after it, which is pronounced G. So for instance, if you want to say, I like to run, you must say, eu gosto de correr. And that's the list for you. Write them all out, practice them with a friend, or practice them with yourself. Make sure you understand these ones before the next video. And good luck with the memorization. I hope you enjoyed this film. Thank you for watching. My name is Joe Lyon, and I hope to see you in the next video. Ciao.